Well, when the government claimed that Canada was back, we didn't realize how far back they expected to take us. Today, Canada was trounced under this leadership by both Ireland and Norway at the UN. So I would ask any minister responsible for this failure to tell us how much did the government spend on its diplomatic campaign to lose a seat on the Security Council?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I have already expressed, Canada can be extremely proud of the campaign that we ran over the past 5 years. I want to continue expressing my gratitude to the officials and the diplomats and everyone in Team Canada who worked so hard and was able to showcase Canada's values and our commitment on the world stage. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member for Carleton.
And I will be splitting my time with the member for Mission, Matsqui-Fraser Canyon, and Huron-Bruce. That wasn't the question. The question was, how much did Canada spend on its failed campaign to secure a Security Council seat? How much?
The Honourable Minister for International Development.
Madam Speaker, the work that Canada does diplomatically is to advance our interests and our values and to share what Canada is doing on the world stage. We are committed to multilateralism. We are committed to continuing to work in the UN system to make sure that we can advance the interests of peace and security globally. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Carleton.
How much did the government spend on travel and hospitality as part of its global failed campaign for a Security Council seat? How much?
Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, as the honourable member knows, Canada's work internationally is to advance human rights, it's to advance gender equality, it's to fight climate change. We do this work because we believe in a better—
The honourable member for Carleton.
The government spent prodigious fortunes traveling around, splashing dollars in all directions, trying to win over dictators and their diplomats at snazzy cocktail parties around the world. Canadian taxpayers deserve to know how much was spent on this global boondoggle. How much?
Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, diplomatic efforts are done to advance Canadian interests, to advance Canadian values. When it comes to fighting climate change, when it comes to advancing human rights, when it comes to standing up for LGBTQ2I individuals around the world, when it comes to advancing gender equality and ensuring that local women's organizations have the support that they need, that is what Canada is doing.
Member for Carleton.
How many tax dollars did the government spend for each vote it got?
The Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I think the honourable member doesn't quite understand diplomacy and doesn't understand that Canada engaging in the world means that we make sure that we engage and listen with—
The honourable member for Carleton.
The question was, how much per vote? How much?
The honourable minister.
Again, Madam Speaker, the honourable member could seek to explore how diplomacy works. It's about engaging, it's about communicating, it's about—
The honourable member for Carleton.
How much did the government spend trying to win votes in South America, and how many South American votes did it get?
Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, Canada engages with regions all around the world. We try to advance those interests because it's important for Canadians, it's important for Canadian businesses, it's important for global—
For Carleton.
So the question was how much the government spent. We know they splashed money around in all directions in order to win. In addition to throwing away all of Canada's traditional principles, they will not tell us how much they spent on this failed enterprise to lose votes vis-a-vis our last time. We know how much of our moral authority the government squandered. They stood beside the Iranian totalitarian regime in Tehran. They bowed before that regime and apologized to that regime after they shot down a plane killing Canadians. We know this government abandoned Israel, voting against it at the United Nations after only months earlier promising to do the contrary. They refused to list the terrorist Iranian Revolutionary Armed Guard of Canada. They refused to stand up to the dictators around the world and in Asia in order to try and win some votes. They gave up all of this moral authority in exchange for absolutely nothing. It's bad enough when you give up your principles. It is even worse when you give up your principles and lose anyway. Given that massive failure, will the government at least tell Canadian taxpayers how much they squandered on this failed global campaign?
The Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I believe that when Canada provides support to local women's organizations, that is not squandering money. Madam Speaker, I believe that when Canada provides funding for neonatal care in the Palestinian territories, that is not squandered funding. Madam Speaker, I believe that when we are engaging on LGBTQ2 issues, when we are engaging on climate change, when we are engaging on human rights around the world, that is not squandering Canadian resources, Madam Speaker. I have to sincerely and completely disagree with my honourable colleague. When it comes to defending Israel, when it comes to defending a two-state solution in the Middle East, Canada has been there and we have been firm in that commitment. When it comes to defending and seeking justice and transparency for the victims of the Iranian plane crash, Canada has been there, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Canada has not compromised on our values, and in fact, we continue to lead with them day in and day out. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member for Carleton.
Lovely words. In how many countries where dictators ban the rights of gays and lesbians did this government attempt to win Security Council votes?